Yeah, welcome, Callum.
Yeah, welcome,
this
bro.
evening, brother. Haven't seen you in probably over 20 years now.
Man.
20 plus years.
I think 95 when I was last at YTech.
Wow.
Bro, that's going back a bit, bro.
Many
Did you
moons
leave?
ago.
When was it 95 we left or 96?
Oh, I left when I actually started college. I already left, bro.
I was the same. I got a letter to home saying, please don't come back.
Serious?
Yeah, so I didn't come back. Mum said, you got to go and get a job or go back to school. And I said, well, she said, school don't want you back. So I said, I'll go get a job.
Oh, nice. No, I don't think I ever went to any of my classes. I just went to school to eat lunch, really.
I think I was the same.
I think that was all of us. I was trying to learn some stuff, but I acted like I knew more than the teacher.
You probably did.
I don't know if you remember Miss Hall, the maths teacher. Bro, I pissed her off a couple of times back in, I was at third form or fourth form year.
I think I pissed every teacher off there at one stage, man.
I think I remember, I think you were tall. You were
Tall and
back-
skinny.
Yeah.
Super skinny.
Yeah.
The real nerdy one.
Tall.
Yeah, because he was like, who's Callum?
No, yeah, but then I was trying to remember who, because I can't remember that far back.
No, me neither. I struggle as well. And so many people bump into me and they're like, hey, Cal. Oh, who's this?
Yeah.
Can't remember that person. Yeah, good. It's good.
Take the beard and the dreads away. Yeah. And because I remember you had like an undercut, right?
It's it,
And,
man.
yeah.
Had the fringe and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, bro.
Terrible. Terrible.
Man,
hair.
I forgot about that. I just remember his face. Just his face, that's all I remembered.
And as soon as I got out of school, I could grow dreads.
Oh, yeah, I like your dreads too, man.
So I've had dreads pretty much since, man. I just, yeah.
So, like, man, because we were back at school, and I remember me and Camps and I was in there kept in touch. So you left in 95?
Left in 95, went and worked for McDonald's because I had to get a job. We opened, I was a part of the crew that opened the one up at Westgate.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we trained elsewhere around in Auckland and then opened Westgate, and then we went and opened the one in Grey Lynn, the little tiny one there. And then, I got sick of that and moved to Queenstown for a bit, met the wife, and then decided we needed to get back to Auckland. Well, she had to go back to uni, and I didn't want to go to Dunedin. It was cold and not much to do in Dunedin if you don't go studying. So we decided to move back to Auckland, and that was in that was December 1st of December 1999.
Oh, shit. True. And you've been back here ever since?
Been back here ever since, and
Still living in Ranui?
I went back to the family home just off Lincoln Road for a bit. We had a granny flat there, so we lived in that for a bit, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, can't really remember now, but bought a house, in good old
Nice.
Ranui.
Yeah.
Cheap as, and just nice property, nice neighbourhood. A couple of doors away, we got the lady who used to look after my sister back in the 60s, 70s. So it's a pretty cool neighbourhood. Everyone's been there long term. It's nice.
Man, did you do any study?
Oh, yeah, I did, but again, like a bit like high school, sort of just fizzled out. I did travel and tourism for a bit, and that was in 97, and just, it wasn't my thing really, other than getting the cheap airfares.
True.
Cheap airfares, and then in 2002, I think it was, I studied some IT, and that's where I met a couple of mates that I started business with, and that's sort of where I am all at the moment. Just sort of started then. Similar thing, didn't really do too much at tech or anything, just I think it was a media design and IT, and you get projects and you got to do stuff, and essentially I would just read the brief and it goes, you got to make an object that goes from here to here, and rather than doing a nice animation, I just put a square and move it from one side of the screen to the other and go, done the project. That's what it said you had to do, so lazy.
Okay, so you went from that. So, you went from studying to now you own a cafe out on Swanson Road.
Yeah.
What made you, or how did you get into that?
The cafe was it was just 100% spare of the moment purchase. Just a bit mad. What it was, so I've got my main company, my IT company, which is my day, my 9 to 5. And I'd been sick off work in hospital for a couple of years.
Sorry. Can I ask, what did you have? Did you have an illness or sickness?
It's a really big story. Short side of it is essentially a lot of people, apparently about 1 in 3 people have an oversized kidney. And quite often it can die off or you'll lose it later in life. Doesn't make any difference. You've got 2 kidneys, you're fine. My insurance company said that they would like to just check everything's correct and everything's good. So they did a scan. They noticed that I have an oversized kidney on one side. So they said, hey, let's fix this, because then you'll have it for the rest of your life and you'll be healthy. You'll never need a transplant or removal, whatever it might be. And I said, well, yeah, all right. If it means I'm going to live longer and you're paying for it all, go for it. Yeah. And essentially they do it. It's a robotic, so it's just 2 little holes, and they cauterize the kidney and shave it and shrink it at the same time, and the bit they cut off just sort of dies off, and the laser cauterizing essentially seals it so they don't have to stitch it, and 7 days later essentially you can go back to normal life. So I thought that was the case. 7 days later I was just eating my dinner, felt a bit funny, and then essentially what had happened is a clip from the surgery had fallen into the urethra, just between the kidney and the bladder, and blocked it, and essentially the kidney swelled up, so the side of my body was massive, and then it burst at about 4 a.m. in the morning. After a junior doctor, I'd been sent by ambulance from North Shore to Auckland for emergency to remove it, and when I got there, it was about 10 minutes too late, and the surgical team that were meant to look at it had left, and a junior doctor had been told to have a look at it, or a junior surgeon, and it was another 6 hours of surgery that he was in, and when he finally got out, it was early hours of the morning, he was quite tired. He assessed it, and with the wife, first of all, he brought in a scan that was like a month old and said there was nothing wrong. That was the first time we should have realised something wasn't right, and then the second one, it looked like a piece of cotton with a little going through like a pea, and that was the clip that was jammed in there in the scan, and essentially it just backed up and burst the kidney, tore it in 2 places and ripped the urethra. Then I essentially lived in hospital for 2 years with tubes on my back and everything to try and keep me alive. I have to say, what they can do medically is it just blows you away. But essentially, so insurance actually paid for that first job, and then because it was a stuff up, I got some. Yeah, I got a bit of money, and been off work for 2 years. I was just looking around for something a little bit different, and I find couldn't really get any good food, especially around Ranui. It was all just sort of like a
takeaway. Yeah, trust me.
It was the cheapest
know,
of cheap takeaways.
Yeah, man. I know.
And,
Yeah, this guy knows, all right.
Exactly.
I know,
I love
man.
good. Everyone loves a good takeaways. Let's all be honest. And just with my health and my nutrition and everything, had learned a lot and just wanted to do something a bit different. And Bountiful was up for sale. I saw it on Trade Me. It was cheap. It was owned by a couple of vegans from out at Bethel's, and I went to a mate who had been a chef before and run a few bars and stuff, and I said, I don't really have time to run it, and he was looking for work, so I said, are you interested? And yeah, the rest is history. We brought it and changed a little bit. We've still got lots of plans, but the building's due to be torn down soon, so we've sort of held off really doing too much work on the building, because whatever you put into it's just going to be torn down in a couple of years' time anyway.
And all of those...
That whole complex.
Oh, even the gas station...
Gas station will be
the
gone.
Car, mechanics at the back.
Yeah, poor old Richie, the mechanics. Apparently the landlord isn't going to build another mechanics workshop when he rebuilds it all. So, yeah, we wait and see. But, there'll be a whole lot of new shops going in there eventually.
Hey, what are they doing on Swanson Road? You know how there's that... you know where the other
the
gas
old
station?
orchard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's happening...
Yeah. There's always rumours around, eh?
Are they doing more apartments or?
Yeah, so it'll be townhouses. I'm the
Wow.
board chair at the school opposite.
Swanson Primary.
Yeah, Swanson Primary there. So it's quite good to have that role because you get to sign off certain things from the council. And they've been trying to push a road out straight opposite the school, which is just madness because it's just going to cause traffic chaos, which it already is before and after school. So hopefully, they're going to push that road out onto O'Neill's now. But yeah, I think it's 30, 50, and I'm not 100% sure. The rumours always change. But there's going to be a lot of townhouses, yeah.
Wow. I see opposite it, like the other side. It looks nice, eh?
Yeah.
When you go over the train tracks from the other side, and you go, yeah, those houses are all nice.
Beautiful. Yeah, nice new ones, eh?
Yeah, I think it was last weekend on Sunday, me and these guys, we were because I told them, hey, let's go check out Callum's cafe.
Oh, yeah.
So we decided to drive over and have a look, but because we came to the front and we saw, because we were thinking with our stomachs and we just saw the food from the front and we're like, nah, let's go somewhere else.
Because I was actually thinking you can sit inside and eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because of COVID, essentially.
Yeah, you have to
man.
serve it from the outside. Yeah, that's what I clicked straight away when I saw it.
Because as soon as we let people in the shop, you got to do. We just want to serve everybody, man. Like,
Yeah.
and if we just keep the door closed and the table at the door, no one can come in. We can serve everybody. Mask,
Yep.
no mask. Vaccine, no vaccine. We don't want to get involved in any of those arguments.
Yeah.
Everyone's part of the community. So yeah.
Yeah, nah. Where did we end up going? Gleneden, eh?
We went to Gleneden to this lunch bar and the food that we ate wasn't great.
Well, us just having the burgers that, you just gave us, Cal, man, shit.
Right. Nah. Yes.
Right.
Top. That's what I was gonna say. They're like gourmet burgers, eh?
Yeah.
Gourmet burgers, man.
The whole idea is about doing things better and in a more healthy way. So the burgers are massive, as you know. Like, you don't really need any chips. Like,
Yeah. Trust me, I do.
It does help, though.
yeah, but I was going to say that's why you had to undo 2 belt notches, but you don't really need them. And the idea was to make it healthy. So like, as I was discussing, the buns are made fresh. We don't put sugars in them. We don't put heaps of preservatives in them. There's not heaps of salts in it. So that hence why the buns have to be made fresh, because there's none of that stuff in it. Yeah. Those buns aren't going to stay fresh for a week like you do a tip-top bun or whatever you get from normal takeaways, We've got to make it fresh. If you come in and order a beef burger, we're pulling that mince out fresh and pressing that beef patty as we put it on the grill for you. All the veggie patties, if you're vegetarian or vegan, everything's made by hand. Some of the sauces we make by hand. We've spent ages working out the best sauces. We get fresh delivery in every day of the week. Make sure everything's nice and fresh. And it's not trying to pack it too much with like those sauces which have too much sugar or preservatives. Everything's natural.
Yeah.
And it's got to be used pretty much the next day.
True. So everything you made in your shop, you didn't order out. You make it yourself, pretty much. From the bread,
pretty much.
the sauces, and the meats.
There's a few things. The carrot cake. We found a carrot cake that we can order in better than what I can make.
Yep. Oh, you bake as well?
Yeah, we can. Most of the recipes have come from either myself or a neighbour or something like that. And some of it they already had though, obviously.
Yeah.
The samosas, we do a veggie samosa there. People say it's one of the best samosas they've ever had. And yeah, that's a special, very secret recipe, that one. And then the pies, like the guys from George FM, they seem to come in and enjoy the pies all the time and stuff. And there's a lot of people come in specifically for the pies, actually. They're not cheap again, but again, we're only putting in the minimum of ingredients. Yeah, it's
quality too.
It's good quality beef, and it's not about the gravy, it's about the beef. So when you get our pies, it's a pulled beef pie. It's not packed full of gravy, and it's not all runny.
Because you get that with a lot of pies.
Yeah, exactly.
And
a lot of gravy, 2 bits of steak in it.
And then when you check out the recipe list, there's like these chemical compounds that you don't even know the name of.
Yeah, no,
Can't reach them.
Ours is pretty much just beef and boil it for the day. boil it for the day, make it nice and soft, and then add some bacon, some cheese, some pepper, or some Guinness, or whatever you want.
What's your best pie down there? Because
again.
I'm a big fan of pies.
Oh man, there's got to be the beef bacon cheese or the hangi pie. Hangi pie is hard to get. That's thanks to Riwi at Hangi Master.
Oh, sure.
Every now and again he drops us off some hangi leftovers from the day, watercress gravy, make up a pie. You can't go wrong. The hangi pie.
That probably doesn't happen often, eh?
Nah.
Especially with doing hangis like that, because you got to use it.
That's right. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but other than that, I mean, we do specials as well. Like if you're into blue cheese, a lot of people like the beef and blue cheese pie.
Yeah. I'm not into blue cheese, but yeah, I know where you're going with that. My brother does. He loves blue cheese.
I want to come down and check it out.
Well, man, straight up, the Bethel's burger that I had, but that's better than my Wisconsin burger that I always have.
Mean.
Straight up, bro. That's mean. It's massive. Well, I'm already there.
No, those are very nice burger. I like the fries. They're not like your typical takeaway like fry. I like that they were like cut in a big
Steak
sizes.
cut fries, eh?
Yeah.
So good.
I know my ex's my ex's mother would love because she loves fries. That's definitely something that I would get. Surprise her. Hey,
Yeah, I was just surprised with the buns. They're really
Yeah, so that was that's one of my neighbour's tricks. My neighbour, he's a baker, has been a long time, very successful, and I just said to him, I didn't want to do a white bun, and I didn't want to do a brioche bun that everybody else has done. It's just the same everywhere you go, sort of thing. It's very cliche. So I wanted a wholemeal bun again, and trying not to use sugars and too many fats and things that are not so good for you. So yeah, worked with him for a couple of weeks, and that's the
does
bun.
all your buns for you.
Yeah, well, that's the buns that come up. So now all the staff pretty much all the staff have to learn everything, because depending on what shift you're on is what you've got to make. So for the time kids leave working for us, they know how to bake buns and make everything, man. So yeah,
from scratch.
Yeah. So
Oh.
So how long have you owned that business though?
So we brought it in 2015.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of businesses. Business is hard. It's not easy. And it's only for certain people. Food and hospitality I deal with a lot. And it's one of the hardest industries. And I this was a bit of a challenge taking this on. You don't know if it's going to succeed, if it's going to fail.
Wait, did you have any experience in it before buying this business? Or you just leaped at it and just...
Or you just went, yeah, I'll get it.
Through my IT business, I'm very lucky. My day-to-day working is with boards, and it's to do with governance in business. So more than working in the business, it's more around setting the strategic plans of businesses and setting up systems.
Nothing to do with food and hospitality.
But it's about setting up a system, and that's what all businesses are. And I think the biggest thing is taking people on the journey with you. Like all my businesses, I think the reason people always say, look, you haven't had one fail, and I think the biggest thing is that it's about whoever you employ is making sure that they believe what you believe, and that you've articulated what you're trying to achieve and where you're trying to go and everything else to them, so they can believe it and jump on that train as well, or that bus, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, the more you can incorporate them and the more they feel it's theirs, the more they're going to help you out and make it a great place to work and everything else. So when I approached it, as I said, no, not really, not much in hospitality. I've worked in hotels. I've worked, as I said, in McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah, so I've worked in a few food places. I've also done things like I opened a distribution centre for Whitcoulls in the South Island. So I did know about organising systems and things like that already. And to me, it was just replicating that. I guess the hard bit is remaining and retaining where we are, like, still today, every week you get a 5-star review. Just every time you open up your phone, there's another review, and you're like, awesome burgers, awesome whatever it is, and you're like, That's awesome. I personally, today I went and got us some burgers, but other than that, I probably haven't been to the shop for a very long time, and I usually go in
Really?
there and I usually go in and mystery shop it. I get mates to go in and buy something, and then I'll sit up the road. And,
Can I be one of your men? No, real
I
talk.
wouldn't mind being
Hey,
a
bro.
chocolate soup, bro.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't mind.
Can I have 2 Bethel
on,
burgers,
on,
please?
on your tab, bro.
yeah, so I haven't no experience really, but again, I think all business you can sort of replicate and get it right if you just join the team and take people on the journey. And I learned a long time ago working with some quite influential people was that it is you're never good at you can't do everything, first of all, and second of all, you're usually only good at one or two things in life, and the rest of it you're either average or crap at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that big time, bro.
Yeah, and essentially it's getting the right people and putting the right people in the right place. And again, they're going to be good at the two things that they're good at and crap at everything else. And if you can find those right people to complement you and everything else, I think that's what makes a lot of successful businesses and a lot of successful partnerships and businesses is finding those right people. That's the harder thing.
Man.
Busy, bro.
Yeah, hold
all
on, bro. Man, how did we because we started talking back because of the barbecues, right?
Yep.
How did we reconnect again?
I honestly can't remember. It's probably through the barbecues. You probably
Yeah, because we did start talking about barbecues because I didn't realize it, but you were selling barbecue equipment and stuff back then.
yeah.
You still are too, eh?
Yep.
Down in Henson Valley.
Barbecue again. Cooking. I mean, haven't got any experience in it, but I love to cook. I used to every Friday race home from work and like cook up big feeds and have just heaps of people come around on a Friday
Oh, nice.
and just I love
Just host.
cooking's a real social thing, like
Yeah, it is.
and and to be able to enjoy it with other people and I love cooking. Love food, man.
Whereabouts do you live? I'm random come of AVE Callum.
So
do you think,
barbecue was sort of a natural. Well, that was through Solomon Puka. He's always sold barbecues. Again, it wasn't his main focus. He does fireplaces and things like that, but he sold a few on the side, and I just sort of looked at it and went, man, there's a huge hole in the market here. You've got access to purchasing them. You've already got all the contracts and that in place with all the suppliers. Let's just do it, man. Like no one else is doing it very well. Let's just do it. And I think we've shown that that's what people were after because we're selling barbecues online and it isn't hard.
yeah. Because there are the other places that you could find, like especially decent smokers, is out in out South Auckland.
Yeah,
And
barbecues are more out at
Yeah,
Lun Ave.
That's the one.
Yeah, there's a couple of others around, but again, they're quite small players. Solomon had the sheer number of accounts already through his fireplace business and just the length of time he's been in business.
What's the name of the fireplace?
West City Heating
Okay.
on Henderson Valley Road. So now we've converted half his store.
Yeah, because that's what I noticed when I looked at the front. I was like, hey, these guys do fireplaces. But when they go around the back, it's like, oh, okay, I recognize the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Barbecue stuff.
yeah, all the smokers and that. I was like, oh, okay.
So we're working on getting. We've got new signage and stuff. We've been waiting COVID and shipping and holding things up, but we did have some containers that were meant to arrive with some branding and marketing on. There's a new sign just going up out the front of the shop there. It's a TV screen, so it'll have things like the Barbecue Boys logo and offers and things like that going all the time. So
that's one of your other businesses.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing that one?
Barbecue Boys was a bit of a laugh. That was just sort of having a few beers. And like, as I said to Sol, like, I think you're missing out, man. Like, you've got all these accounts, there's money to be made. Like, let's just try and make some money from it. And with my team and my IT company, I just sort of, as a joke, I was like, let's get it up and running. And they did it over a week and we got it up and running. And as I say, just the sales started to come in. So it's like, if people are going to spend money with you, you take the money, like, yeah. So that was great. That's it's been one of the easier companies to launch just because so much was already in place already. But
Yeah, because he was already started. He already started, but he was just missing that one element.
yeah, just the marketing into
Yeah.
the end users and getting it right. And I guess that's what frustrates me with a lot of businesses in New Zealand is just like
the marketing.
just getting the marketing right and just I know there's a lot of cowboys out there that tell people to do this and to do that and spend money on this, and sort of quite often they'll get to my company, one of my companies in the end, and then it's sort of like, I've already spent all this money, and I'm like, oh, it's sort of a waste of spending all your money on that when it was obvious that wasn't going to work. But yeah, I guess everyone needs to make money, so if you've got someone looking for something and you think you can help them, you try to help them and you take their money, but yeah, it doesn't always work. So yeah, Barbecue Boy's been going since 2019. We sort of formed it. That's when we discussed it. I think 2020, it was about March 2020, right as COVID was hitting, is when we launched it, and everyone just sort of laughed and went, you're not going to be, you can't launch a company right now, and we did. And
COVID.
yeah, exactly. But it's been the opposite. People haven't been able to travel. People wanted to spend money on their barbecues and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one big thing for us was to only do quality. So a lot of people will come to us and like, oh, you don't do this brand or you don't do that brand. And it's like, yeah, we may do, and we may even have accounts with them. The problem is that because we're online and you're not coming to a store to pick it up, when we deliver it to you, we want to make sure that you've got all the parts and that you're not going to be ringing us up going, oh, I need to send it back, because it costs hundreds of dollars to ship a barbecue. So you want to make sure what gets there is right and it's of quality and it's going to last. So we've actually gone with the best brands that you can probably find on the market. A lot of our barbecues have a lifetime warranty. You know,
wow.
what you go and buy from the warehouse has a 1-year warranty.
Yeah.
There's stuff from the warehouse, bro. It doesn't
It
last.
doesn't even last that long.
It doesn't
either.
last.
Yeah, it suits a purpose though. At the price
it
point,
does.
it does a great job for some people and some families. You know, it's the money they've got, and if they look after it, it'll last quite a few years.
True.
But yeah, you get what you pay for as well. But yeah, it's barbecues has been surprising for me because I actually have found that there is some quite well-priced barbecues that come with a decent lifetime warranty, and they're some of the oldest barbecue companies around. But just due to the way other companies do marketing, people seem to fall for those other barbecues, and yeah, I'm just like, wow, yeah, interesting.
When did barbecue start with you? When did you start barbecuing?
Oh,
Was it further back before you started the company, or
yeah, barbecuing.
like smoking?
I can remember being, I honestly can't remember the actual age, but I remember being like 8 years old, maybe even younger. A mate and I used to always set fire to things to cook food and cook food. And I remember one time I went away on holiday and he set fire to the bush behind us just down off Universal Drive. And then he tried to blame it on me. I remember that, and but luckily I was away, so yeah, it fell back on him. He got in trouble for lighting a fire when he shouldn't have.
True.
So cooking, barbecuing and that, I think it's something that I've just always done. Like growing up, my dad used to go hunting all the time, and would always have wild meat on the spit or on the barbecue. So I've just sort of carried it on, man. It's like,
Man, true. Because I only got into it because Cameron took me to a place down in the city. I think it was called Fireworks back in the day.
yeah.
And they do barbecues, smoking beef ribs and all that over there. And that's where
Yeah,
it was just
mouthful
one of those days. Hey, you eat something and it's just something snaps.
snaps. Yeah.
I was like, holy shit!
Yeah, I love barbecue. I love that you can just light it in the morning. You can sort of chill out, mow the lawns, chill go swim in the pool, or
Have a beer.
or a few.
Yep.
Chill out in the hammock and just enjoy the day, have a sleep, and then at like 6-7 o'clock at night, you open that smoker up and it just smells incredible, and
Yeah, bro.
and then you
Straight
dish it up, and it's just, when you cook something like that, especially when you invite a group of mates, and the smile on everyone's face. You know what I mean? When you finish the food, everyone is smiling, and before the food's ready, you can hear all the mingling and the talking, and everyone's getting on, and you can hear the beer bottles clinging, the wine glasses. The food comes out, it goes silent, you know. You don't hear, you could hear a pin drop sometimes, you know, except for everyone munching. And then afterwards, everyone's just smiling and you're like, bingo, done it.
Shut up. When you were speaking there, I was just imagining myself at your house. Knife and fork like this.
Bring it out,
Bro.
brother. Yeah, exactly. But that, you know, that's what food's about. And like you see it in every culture too, no matter where
Yep.
you go in the world. And like whatever documentary sort of you watch or whatever it might be, whenever you see someone go into somebody's home and get real authentic food from that country and from that heartfelt like food that's come from the heart,
Yeah.
man, you just see the smile on people's faces afterwards, and it's like, the job done.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
That's how I felt when I just ate your burger.
Yeah, your burgers, bro.
There, mate.
I
Yeah,
feel
I know.
some of the influence through the burgers.
We just need a lazy boys in here now.
And then give us any ideas, bro.
Oh, so, what other businesses do you own?
As I said, the main one's my IT one, which is Bokapa. And I've had that since 2004 or something. And that has every client, as I said, from Air New Zealand, Harvey Normans to little one-man bands. And that is, that's got a full-time team of people. Yeah, just that's an insane business. Very, very busy. But it also gives me the freedom to do the certain things that I like. And I think, you know, it's allowed me to see a lot. I deal with a lot of different, got probably over 1,000 clients in there, and they're all of different backgrounds. As I say, from me in New Zealand, where I'm working at a board and an executive level, right through to these small one-man band lawyers or startups. We work with so many startups. We've had people come to us go, you know, I've got $2,000 or $5,000, and then what they've sold their company for at the end is staggering. It's incredible, and that has given me the opportunity to then be introduced to so many business people and so many business ideas, and just so what else do we own or I own or there's a few things. The barbecues, the Bokapa, the web stuff, and marketing and stuff like that, and those are sort of the main ones. Bountiful Earth is there's another big one. Is there's lots. Dr. Flu, it's another one we did with Solomon. So again, you know what I do with my IT company. So as I was explaining to you before, I go into the likes of Air New Zealand and look at how we can make more money essentially. And, you know, like I was saying, we're doing some stuff with the likes of brands like WD-40 and things like that at the moment. So you come across some awesome opportunities. So with Sol, he had a problem where he chimney sweeps chimneys. And he may do one here in Henderson, and then he might have one in Bombay, and then he might have one in Albany. The poor chimney sweep is going to barely get around those because Auckland's so big. It's such a big area. So he had a problem where he's got to pay that guy, he's got to pay the cost of the van and everything else on the road. But if they're only doing 3 jobs a day and pulling in $300, doesn't pay for itself. It's a quick way to lose money. Every chimney sweep, pool people, all sorts have those problems. So again, I went away, had a bit of a think about how we can solve this solution. So we've put some artificial intelligence in behind a booking system, similar to what we do with some of our bigger clients. And what happens is somebody books in a certain street or a certain area, and then after that we try and book everyone else in that area at that same time. So what we do is we give them a discount, because then the guy's not having to travel. So instead of doing those 3 bookings a day and lots of travel time, now he's staying in the one suburb or the one little area, and he can maybe knock off 10 or 12 and make it over $1,000 a day, and he's had no travel time and gets home early. So that's what again, those are the sorts of problems I like to look for and fix. And occasionally clients will say, look, I don't have the money, because, to hire the software team to do that is big money. So then many years ago, I had money in an advertising agency, and there was a big one in New York that we quite liked the look of. And what they did is they would take what your business turnover is currently at the moment, and they say, right, any marketing we do increases your turnover, you're going to give us X% of that turnover. So we sort of look at business the same. With Dr. Flu and all of those sorts of things, we look at it and we go, right, you're turning over this much. We can automate the system. We can put this artificial intelligence in. It's going to cost you this much. It's a lot of money. Nothing's free in this world. So we quite often come to an idea of a partnership with people. So we'll do a lot of the IT work and fund all of that side of it, and then we'll clip the ticket on the turnover or whatever it might be. So another one is Sell It Media. George Floyd. A lot of people know the George Floyd story in America. And as we all know, media, can you trust it? I don't know. Maybe some say you can, some say you can't. Try and keep out of that argument. So what we've done is we produced a platform which opens up to the world and the average home user. So if you capture something great. So we were the ones that broke the news with George Floyd and the police footage camera that was broken out. So essentially, the person contacted us and said, look, I've got this footage. It's of the body cam of the police officers. They're trying to hide it. And then essentially what our site does is you upload your video footage to it, and then we send it to Reuters, BBC, all the big agencies, and auction it off on your behalf.
Oh, wow.
And then we clip the ticket again.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, Callum, about that. So how much did that... Oh, first of all, did you trust it? Was it or how did that person get their footage? You don't ask those questions?
Yeah, no questions asked. We do occasionally... There's horrific stuff we see.
Yeah.
Someone's got to censor this stuff. And it's horrific. And of course, at times you're going to have to get police or agencies involved.
Oh, okay.
When you see some of it. Things like that. No matter what we do, that footage was going to get out no matter what.
Yeah.
Now, the whole idea behind this as well is that, things like the Christchurch massacre happened. All sorts of events happen around the world. The minute you post the video on social media, you no longer own it.
Oh, okay.
Now, the advertising agency that steals that first is then going to sell that quite possibly to every other news agency. But they stole it off you for free.
Yeah.
And now they're making money from it. So that's what we're trying to stop, is trying to educate people. Don't put it on the social... If you want to make some money from it and stop these media agencies making money from it, load it to us. We'll auction it off to all these contacts that we have, and we'll try and get you the highest dollar for it. But at least you own the rights to it still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. That's good.
So, yeah, but the minute you load something to, Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media, it's no longer your property.
Yeah, jump on it.
Yep, and those those media agencies can use it for free. But what a lot of them will do is they will package it into their media, and then they will sell that media. So Network 9 News in Australia or whatever, they'll steal it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They'll package it, and then they'll sell it to Channel 3, and Channel 3 end up paying money for it. But hold on a minute, they got that footage for free off Facebook.
Yeah.
So we're trying to break that pattern a little bit. It's taken a while to educate people, but so when you say, what do you do and what do you have money in or whatever, it changes all the time.
Because
team of guys,
like stuff like that, how you were mentioning with on the social media. Because I saw a video on TikTok, because I just recently opened up a TikTok account, because I was like, some of the stuff that you don't see on the news, you see on TikTok. There's a video of a guy getting eaten by a shark. You don't see the guy getting eaten by a shark. I saw the paper this morning.
No censorship on that.
Yeah, there was nothing.
Exactly.
You just see all the blood. You see somebody splashing in the water and all the blood. And
Yeah.
everybody's screaming.
Oh, man.
And I saw the paper this morning, the same story. Guy get eaten by a shark.
Yes.
Fuck, I just watched the video.
Oh, that was, the one in Aussie, I know the one you're talking about now, actually.
I was like, what the hell?
It's brutal. Half his body or something got taken.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That guy got literally eaten by a shark.
So but he's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was on the TikTok. I was like, oh, what's this?
They were videoing it or something. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So things like that, they've taken that, people have taken that for free and then showing it, or the media agencies can take that for free, where potentially you could have sold it and some of those things,
some money from
Fuck,
Yeah.
would you want to sell something like that, dude?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Morals,
hell.
It comes down to morals, you know. As I say, like some of the footage we get, especially from the States,
Oh, bro, it must
gun
be some-
violence over there is just it's execution style gun violence. You know, we see what we see in Hollywood, what we see loaded up to the sites to auction in the States is next level. It's nothing that you see in a Hollywood film. Like, and it is execution, cold killing style of gun use, man. It's not nice at all. And you know, morally, who are these people videoing that sort of thing? You know, nah, yeah, oh yeah, NFTs. I've never even thought about putting it in there and owning the rights to it. Yeah, that could be quite interesting. It is. I mean, yeah, just some of the stuff is sad. And you can definitely see the racism in it as well in the footage. You know, there was a young guy had just brought takeaways, walked back to his BMW, white BMW, beautiful BMW, and he dropped his keys, and a cop comes running over to him and tackles him to the ground, thinking he's trying to steal the car. And so they handcuff him, and he's like, "Man, I'm just trying to get in my car. There's my keys. Try my keys. Try my keys." And then another cop just walks over, shoots him twice in the chest, walks off. Dude wasn't doing anything. Totally innocent dude. And then the other cop's like, "What did you do that for?" Picks up the keys and clips the button and unlocks the car. And you're just like, they just killed that dude. For what? And that's just what it's like in America. When you see some of the footage, you know, and I felt sorry for the guy that took the footage. I have no idea what actually happened to him, but essentially one of the cops had seen him, and it ends with him just running off and screaming as the cops chasing him. So, you know, the stuff that happens over there is just, it's terrifying, man. I'm glad I live in New Zealand.
Yeah. I think that's one of the like the good things about it. But then, like, it's funny that you say that, Callum, because when Eric came picked me up, there was a cop car right outside my house.
What do you got to, mate?
And then the chopper's all around, it's going around. And then when we were driving up here, we saw these like police cars just zooming past us.
I was the same when I was coming here. I was going through Henderson. I said to Cam, I was like, "Man, how many cop cars just went past all with their lights on, but no sirens or anything?" I
think they were trying to corner somebody in Ranui because the guys were just parked down the street. Because
Like,
I
right
saw them
outside
come.
my house.
I saw them coming towards us, and I was like, "Hey,
Hey.
oh, they're waiting for someone."
Somebody,
Yeah, go back to those videos because I came across a video at work. This is probably going back 3 years ago, and it was of a beheading. When beheading was a big thing.
It still is, man.
Yeah.
You see, yeah.
That's
So
unreal,
the videos
mate.
that come in, whew.
It's real unreal, man. It's just like, man, I've never seen anything like it. But it looks like the people that get done, they look like they've been drugged because obviously you're not going to stand there while somebody hacks your head off.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's not nice.
No, fuck.
I'm not one of the... So within the sites, you have people that obviously can sell the video, and then we have people who can view the video and work out whether it's up for auction or if it's just someone taking a picture of a pretty cat down the road. You know what I mean? News agencies want news. You know what I mean? So someone's got to go through and censor all of that and actually work out whether or not that can be forwarded or
From your team.
Well, not necessarily from our team because it's a 24-hour operation, so you can't. So what we have been trying to do is use students around the world who are doing communication degrees or something in media.
Oh, wow.
And then they can get paid a little bit. If the auction's won, we pass a little bit of money on to them for screening it and stuff. But, I don't know if you've ever watched the documentaries on the people that have to screen Facebook and Google and the likes of that.
Oh,
and how they feel suicidal after a little while. What humans do to each other is not nice, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, alcoholic straight after that shit, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. It affects you for life.
Some of them don't work there anymore, right? Like I was watching that doco.
Yeah, that's right.
Where they were, and the main guy. He had he had no phone. He had nothing to do with social media at all.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, it amazes people, you know, like I own an IT company. I can't touch type. I still like to use my finger, yep, the index finger.
Oh, true.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah,
Nothing
hard.
wrong with that. I think the guys have actually brought me quite a few touch typing courses, and yes, I have attended all of them. And yes, I've stayed the whole time because the staff will give me so much crap if I didn't. But I still like to do the single
Yeah.
finger typing, man. You know, it suits me. Some things never change, eh?
Do you have a degree in business?
Nah, bro. Nah,
You don't?
I'm someone who's quite anti-education.
Oh, true. Yeah,
I never
yeah.
really enjoyed school too much, other than eating.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to
Like we were
remember.
saying
I
earlier.
can't remember if it was Cam, but I remember Brian Lapesi being there and a couple of others. But I remember we used to get. It might have been even Marcus Painter. But I always remember we used to arrive at school, and when lunchtime would come, we'd have a mean feed. Like one of us would bring the bag of chips, one would bring the packet of Chocky biscuits. And I always remember we used to take off and hide and like open up our bags.
Oh, because everyone else is coming around. Oh.
And then we used to hide for the first 15, 20 minutes and then like have a mean ass feed every day. And then we'd like pack our bags up, throw away the rubbish, and then be like, oh, what's everyone else having for lunch? We did that for about a year or something, or 6 months or so.
Oh my gosh, those days.
See, you've just proven a point, Callum. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to go to university. You know, you don't have to do all these
Get these loans out
degrees,
for these courses.
papers.
Yeah.
You know, like you got a good story, bro. Because you're doing it, right? You're making
That's
it.
it, eh? You know, when I worked for Whitcoulls, McDonald's, a lot of those big companies, and I even see it at like the likes of Air New Zealand these days. Obviously, there's positions and places you need to know the theory, and you do need education within that sector to be able to do that job. But a lot of places I've worked for and still work with these days, I'm quite often, why don't you get a uni graduate to do that? Oh, no, we'll never hire a uni graduate for that. I'm like, why is that? And they're like, a lot of them they've never had any work experience.
Yeah.
They've come straight from school. They've gone straight into uni. They've done 4 or 5 years of uni. And then they're not going to go and get the job specifically that they trained for, but something slightly different. And a lot of the companies I work for, they're always like, well, the person's never really had a real job. Would prefer that they actually go out and had a real job for a year or two, so they know what it's like to have to get up every day at 8 a.m., not, I've got a lecture at 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And I've also found that a lot with hiring people as well. A lot of students expect to have directions they expect to have a list that starts with, this is where you're going to start at 8 a.m. And this is where I'm going to finish up at the end of the day. Hey, that works for some people and it's great. But I prefer to employ people that's like, we have a bit of a hui in the morning or whatever, this is what we're going to do, and that they go out and they think for themselves and they come back and they go, oh, hey, I've just had an idea, maybe we could try doing it this way or that way, or maybe we could try this. Again, it might be just another little hui for half an hour or so, talk about it, get it sorted, and then let them get back to it. And you end up getting a better product because they feel included, they feel like they've got a part of the business, they've had some input, some say, and everything else.
Their confidence.
Yeah, exactly. With a person,
Left
9 to
alone.
5, they've just followed that list, and you don't get anything more out of them than that 9 to 5. And again, sometimes that's all you need, but depending on, every situation's different, man. You can't put one label on anything in this world.
Crazy, bro.
But yeah, education's not my. I don't.
I know a couple of guys too that own a couple of businesses themselves, but yeah, I've never known them as to like getting degrees or studying after school, like you go to university and that. Yeah, but they're
because
doing
they're
well for
motivated.
themselves.
They're motivated and they know how to take people on the journey with them. Again, like I don't have school cert English. I think Mr. Scott gave me 7% for engineering. For school cert English, I think I got 12% for, like I bailed. I just couldn't be I think in the English exam, I think the multi-choice, I just went through and just ticked A for everything. And went, done. Couldn't be bothered.
I think I did an algorithm. Okay, 1, 2. I'll wait one. Oh, no, I already put one. I'll do one and like two more, and then I'll write one
Yeah,
again.
nice. Nice. Yeah, I just you, you see it today, and I think I read some articles about Avondale College are doing it really well. Very rarely do you employ people these days. Again, it depends on the job, but very rarely do you employ people these days that know everything about the job. Generally, you employ people who are self-motivated, have a good attitude, and can solve problems themselves. There's a thing called Google. Um, everybody uses Google these days. Go to your doctor, look over their shoulder, they're looking on Google, man. Everyone uses Google. So, it's more about being able to manage your time and all of that sort of stuff, I think, is more important than necessarily the education as per se.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that now. You see, there's more evidence of that around, like you yourself. And and many others.
Yeah, and these days, especially with business, I guess it doesn't matter what education, to me, it doesn't matter what education you have, it's not going to mean you can run a business. Business changes like IT does, it changes every 3-4 months. Government changes the law all the time, and what you have to do regulation-wise to keep up with everything. It's a matter of being able to find that online and being able to action it. It's not a matter of what did you learn that at uni or not. It's more about, just being able to keep up with everything and keep going, man. That's the hardest thing. Keeping your motivation and not being able to, I have hundreds of clients that ring me weekly. Like my phone can start at 7 a.m. and it's something's happened in business and they just panic, and it's like it's the worst thing you can do in business. It's like when you caught in a rut, the worst thing you can do is panic. Caught in a house fire, never panic in anything. Learn to just cruise it. Just if you can, I shouldn't say cruise it, but learn to control that stress and that panic and put it into good thoughts and thinking about how you're going to get out of that sort of situation. That's the bit.
So what kind of hours do you do weekly for your IT business? Apart from the barbecue and the cafe.
So ideally, well, it depends. If I'm going to town, ideally I like to sort of get in about 10 and like to leave by 2.
Okay.
Because
Like
try and beat the peak hour traffic.
Yeah. Because you miss it in the morning at 10, and then you miss it again at 2.
Exactly.
I see what you mean.
But in saying that, being a business owner is not a 9 to 5 job. And anyone who thinks it is shouldn't be in business. Business is 24/7, so you might come home. You might only do a 4-hour day, but then you might do another 4 hours at night. I might have, if somebody like New Zealand calls and say we need you in for a week, you're in for a week. You're like you can't say no to them. Sort of that's what you're there to do, and why the business relationship works. But your work, it's a work. I think in life everything's should be about work-life balance. So all my staff, retail, it's a little bit different. You sort of got to be there during the open hours. But my staff in my IT company there is no start time, there is no end time. It's when you what? Yeah, well, when you wake up naturally. Go to sleep naturally. I don't know if you guys know much about Swanson School, but it's really interesting. The media branded, if you type into Google the school with no rules, Swanson School would come up. It's not so true, the media again. But what I have learned about running a school, or the only school pretty much in the world which has essentially no rules, or is what we call free play and creative play, is that children, so things that have come out that are really interesting from the studies that the uni's doing it, is children, or time is an adult concept. So children have no concept of time. Adults have taught them that. And that is simply for the fact that we want to work. So a child knows daylight, I'll wake up. Dark time, I'll go to sleep. Just like any other natural animal on this planet. They know I'm hungry, I need to get some food. You don't need to eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner necessarily, So time is an adult concept forced upon children because we want to make our days more accommodating to ourselves. And again, habits are learned. We go back to violence and like with the videos and stuff like that. Violence is a learned habit. Human beings naturally don't go out there wanting to kill each other. That is something that you learn through being envious, jealous, and how you're taught morals and things like that. So I like to sort of run our businesses the same in that, there should be. Who am I to make the rules of when people should brush their teeth and come to work and all that sort of stuff? It doesn't really make a difference. Like, it's just because somebody else has told us that's what it's got to be. Time is good for things like, hey, we all need to have a catch up to move on, and let's to move on to the next project, whatever it might be. Let's meet at 1:00. But other than that, you should be able to have your lunch when you want, start work when you want, end when you want. As I say, retail in some businesses, if you're flying a plane, you've got to fly it at a certain time of day. But in general, yeah, more people should be allowed to work quite freely. Somebody like Cameron, who's working in architecture and things like that, does it really matter if he's there at 8 a.m. in the morning or 4 p.m. in the afternoon? Yeah, there may be some days that you want to all catch up and talk and make sure you're all doing everything together. But the reality is, does it
matter if he's there or not.
Yeah, what difference
Because
does
he
the
still
hours
gets
really
the
make?
job done, right?
That's right.
Yeah, oh, that's what I heard.
That's what we all hear, right? But yeah, so education, all of that. I like to try and keep things as open, as free as possible, and as I say, take people on the journey. So back to my hours. I try not to work set hours. I try to wake up naturally when I wake up. Get the kids to school, whatever it might be. Usually they're the ones that wake me up. and then just go about the day, and you sort of start at the top of your list and work the way through it. Somebody like myself, it's generally more reactive sort of work, so it's which client's going to call me for the day, and then where am I going to need to put my concentration for that day and effort.
Oh, okay.
Yep. What was that about the Swanson School? Do you manage that as well?
So yeah, some of the board chair there.
Okay.
You know how you're saying with no rules. What can you explain more about that?
So
That's
a lot of schools have problems with bullying and all sorts of things, right?
Oh yeah.
And if you think back to when you went to school, if anyone was acting up in the class, or why you acted up in the class, or whatever it might be, what was the main reason? Usually because you were bored and you had nothing else to do, right? That's usually the bottom line of it, is a kid's bored. So they've got to do something to entertain themselves. So at Swanson, they took a different approach. So first of all, we want to make sure all the children in the school are fed, clothed. So that's the first thing. When kids arrive at the school, they give them breakfast and things like that at the kids' club and stuff like that. That's the first and foremost. If they're hungry, they're going to act up and muck around. Give them a full tummy, they're going to sit there and listen. So that's the first thing. The school 10, 12 years ago did have a little bit of a bullying problem. So working with some universities, the principal at the time looked at what opportunities there were, and they didn't make a school with no rules. That is a brand by the media. What they did is they decided not to enforce the rules, but they didn't tell anybody. And eventually over time, more and more kids started creating huts, climbing trees, just enjoying life again, playing bull rush like we did back at school, all of those sorts of things. So the school's more about what we call free play or creative play, and it's more student-led. So again, a young boy might be interested in cars. So everything that the teacher's going to engage him about for learning is going to be about reading car books. The maths is going to be about the cylinders and the wheels and because that's how he's going to learn. A girl, my daughter, she did cupcakes for the year, and that's how she learned. She learned measuring and science and all of that sort of stuff through baking. And that keeps the child so much more engaged. And we have scenarios where we've had children that are so violent and so bad, they've been shipped to 10 or more schools. And there's a young boy at the school now. He's been there for maybe 3 years now. And Auntie doesn't have to force him to school anymore. He gets up, he comes. When I first met him, he wouldn't even lift his head to say hello or boo. Like in the board meetings, he just didn't want to even talk to anybody. Now he walks around the school, his head's held high, he'll give high fives to people, you know, all that sort of stuff. Exactly, confidence. And I think that teachers in the school spoke to him in his own tongue and language, which made him feel more respected and accepted within the school rather than being forced to use a language that he didn't use at home. And just little things like that make a massive difference to children. And then, so with the free play, you know, that is allowing them to do full tackle. It is allowing them to light a fire in the school grounds. It is allowing them to have a mudslide. It is allowing them to ride bikes with no helmets. The new principal, when he came in, I was the lead for choosing the new principal for the school. And we were very worried that we'd get rid of free play, you know, because most principals just can't even comprehend it. They're scared of losing their job or getting sued. You know, but it was more about, so we got him in and trying to teach him, he was like, oh, the kids don't wear helmets on bikes. And it's like, don't introduce a helmet. Well, don't. And he was adamant he was going to do it. So then he did some research, and I'm glad he actually did first. And then he put it out to the parents to ask them, and I'm glad he did. Because most of the parents came back and said no helmets. And then when he got the research, he was like, actually, yeah, the research shows helmets aren't so good. And it's like, yeah, exactly, because a kid under the age of 9, 10 watches Iron Man. Iron Man puts on a helmet, he can bust through a wall. He's invincible. Nothing's going to happen to me. We need to teach children at a much younger age how to manage risk and how to manage themselves. So at that age, if you fall off your bike and that, the chances of getting a head injury are a lot slimmer than when you're 15 and you're trying to do some trick on a BMX and you come off and you get slammed into by a car. You know, you're better off letting them learn how to do all of that stuff at a much younger age without a helmet.
Yeah.
Than saying, put a helmet on.
I guess then eventually they'll see when they get older, oh, okay, I think it's time to wear a helmet, you know, the benefits of it.
That's right, yeah. Exactly.
But
they understand it. Yep, exactly.
Let them learn that.
Because right now the kids think they're Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
They just run in front of a truck or something.
Exactly. Just like when we all grew up, you got a broken arm from falling off the tramp. You know, all these days they have a net around them. Like,
I like how your school they introduce breakfast. I mean, you know, when the kids come in to school.
Yeah. So the ministry don't like our school too much because, again, we don't. If the kids have conflict, you try and let the kids solve it. Like, as soon as you get an adult involved, that causes bullying again. He narked, and everyone knows he narked, and blah, 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 blah. And what we've found is, because if you just remove the teachers again, kids naturally don't want to hurt each other, and they do want to help each other. So the older ones generally do jump in and go, hey, man, stop picking on him, or what can we do to solve this? And leave it to the kids to solve it. Kids will look after kids, you know? Like,
that's how you create leaders, you know, young leaders.
Exactly.
In the older kids at primary school.
Exactly, 100%. So, yeah, so research, you know, too many people jump on this bandwagon. You know, the one thing that has shocked me with having kids was probably car seats. You know, everyone has one in their car. Why do you have one in the car? Because you're told to. Who tells you? The car seat companies. Who else has done research on the car seats? Only the car seat companies. But if we look at tobacco companies, do we take the advice from tobacco companies? Because only tobacco companies originally did research on tobacco companies, right? Yeah. So it's actually quite interesting. I was watching, I think it was a TED Talk, and it was about Mercedes and Audi had done research themselves into car seats. Why do we force children to sit in car seats once you've watched that?
That's a good question, eh?
Exactly.
Why?
The car seat companies are the ones that have done the research and said a child has to stay in a car seat to this age and that they expire after a certain amount of time. Why do we take their advice on their product, on what we have to buy and what's safe and what's not safe? It just seems a bit suspect that we take it such for granted, a lot of these things.
That makes the people, we got to buy a car seat, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's even law here too.
Exactly, and then you got to buy the most expensive car seat, and it's sort of like, well, you know, and what Audi and Mercedes had come down to is a simple, tiny alteration to their cars would allow them to make a seat adjustable to take children, and it wouldn't cost any more in manufacturing or anything else. and it's going to be safer than car seats. And has that made any changes yet?
His,
No. Car seat
has
companies
to
have
go
got
buy
too
Audis
much.
and
Well, no, the
No.
car seat companies, it's too much money for them. They can't lose that. It's like the oil companies. So
yeah,
they're going
to
to pour everything they can into lobbying the government to keep those laws around because they want to make sales of car seats. I'm not saying don't use them. Definitely, they need to be used. Please make sure people use them, especially for infants. But some people should just do their own research and actually see. I've always found that interesting, and a lot around children can be quite interesting like that and surprising when you start looking into the actual information and working with the universities around our children in Tamariki. It's
I can hear in your voice you're pretty passionate about
I think
for the school.
as a board chair, you see the worst of the worst and also the good of the good. But our kids, man, they need help. Our kids in this country need help. That's all I can say. It is heart wrenching when you see what our kids go through, dude. And it's not just Ranui and Swanson.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man.
Well, even the teenagers now, they all look the same. They all act the same. They're a bunch of clones.
But pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. And it just goes back to there's just so many rules in schools. Like, talk to a high school student, they probably couldn't rattle off the book of rules that they've got to obey. And it goes. The other thing that gets me all the time is things like school uniforms. Like, doesn't make a difference what your uniform is. Going back to business, I have never, ever, ever, ever in my life worn a shirt and tie to even a New Zealand board.
Bruh.
If I put shoes on, they would all fall out of their chairs. Actually, some of them would probably have heart attacks.
Do you walk in with your sandals?
I have dressed up today, bro. I have put a collar on.
Oh, wow. Oh, bro.
I remember you saying that too. You ever go to, like, it doesn't matter what company you go to, you just go how you are. Man, that's crazy, bro.
If I've woken up this morning, I haven't brushed my dreads. Well, wow, that's how you get me this morning.
Oh. No, that's cool, though,
Again,
you know?
it doesn't, what people wear, what nationality, what religion, what skin color, whatever you want to be, man. You could be the weirdest thing in the world to me. You could be an alien. So long as, you're just straight up honest and believe who you are and just be who you are, man. People say to me, like, I'm going for a job. What should I ask for per hour? I'm like, I don't know. You, man. Like, you got to know what you're worth. If you think you're only worth $20 an hour, say $20 an hour. If you think you're worth $100 an hour, say $100 an hour. Worst thing they're going to do is say nah. You know what I mean? Like,
what's the funniest reaction you've got in the meeting from some of these?
oh, dude. I won't say. I can't say any names here.
No, don't.
But a friend of mine works for a big. She worked for a big organisation here in New Zealand. Over 100+ stores, and they have all these points of sale in the shop. The posters that say 50% off, etc. And they still do this ordering for all these stores nationwide on a piece of Excel, a piece of paper. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. So she said to me, "Look, I know you can solve our problem." So I came in and had a talk to the team, at executive level team at her business, and said, "Look, I can solve the problem. This is how I can do it." And we'd looked at all the numbers, and I said, "Look, it's probably going to save you about $500,000 a year, and it's going to cost about $50,000 to build." And this one guy who was extremely well educated and wore a shirt and tie got up and walked out and said, I'm not interested in working with anybody like this. He's got dreads and he hasn't even worn shoes to the meeting. And so they decided, because he was the head of IT and that for this company, so they decided to not go ahead with it. And that company still today loses like $500,000 because somebody forgot to order 2 pieces of point of sale. So now they've got to do a special print run to do those 2 posters for that store and that poster for that store. And just, you just look at it and you just think, just because that guy was like that. And the funny thing is that he shops at Pack and Save Lincoln Road, and I see him there quite often on a Sunday when I go shopping. And he obviously still doesn't have the same job.
But you still do, or you've actually done up.
Yeah, I just see him and I think, yeah, sorry, mate. Like, yeah, bit of a, yeah. Some people just get on their high bandwagon, and I have had people walk out. I have had people, company directors and executives. I've had one that's stuck in and cut a dread off behind, and then they've framed it, and it still sits in their boardroom in their office, saying, "This is the dread that made us this much money," or whatever it was.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so there's some funny things like that. I've got one client, man. Oh my gosh, this guy's so embarrassing. He's about 7 foot. Like, I come up to his shoulder. I'm 6 foot, and I come up to his shoulder. Big guy. And he always wears a trench coat, long, black, tailor-made, got a bit of money, comes down to like his ankles. So he's a massive guy, owns a big transport company. So one day he said a few of the boys were away from the office, and it was just the girls in the office. And so he always texts me when he's coming to town. He's like, "We'll go out on the piss, and I'll get you a driver. You do what you want and go home when you want." And he said, "Oh, mate's opening a bar," so he came and picked us up with all the girls and stuff. And he got to the bar and he goes, "Oh, this is a bit weird. Usually when my mate opens a bar, there's usually a queue around the block, to get in and stuff. There's no queues tonight. It's a bit strange." So anyway, we all pile out of the van and we go through these doors and, there must be something going on. We can hear heaps going, loud music and stuff. So we walk up this long corridor, and it was a double door to walk into the bar, and he thought, "Oh, I'll make a grand entrance. I'll push the doors open with heaps of stuff, and then sort of my big trench coat, I'll hold it up and hide all you guys behind it, and I'll say, 'Hey, the party's here.'" So we're all hiding behind him and stuff, waiting to go. Pushes the doors open, and he just goes dead silent and holds his coat up. So all the girls behind him are like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And he's like, I can't drop the coat. I can't drop the coat." Finally drops the coat, and there's a whole lot of strippers going up and down poles. He's like, "Oh, whoops, this is the wrong bar for all the women at his work," because he had some younger women there, some older women.
Next time that guy's in town, you got other three other guys who are going to invite us. Your security.
And the last time, there's days I've got out with him on St. Paddy's Day, and he's rung me up like 3 days later, and I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "In Taupo." Like, "How did you get to Taupo?" "I don't know. I've only got one shoe and my shirt's green." And I'm just like, "Dude, that's a big one." But
this is a good night.
The last one, this was going back. That was really bad. It was the night of the royal wedding, Prince William and Kate or whatever. And he'd rung me up, and he said to me, "There's a big party going on in town on Ponsonby Road." Just off Ponsonby Road. He's like, "We'll meet at the bar and bring all your mates." So bring all my mates, and we're all in hoodies and jeans, shorts, jandals and stuff. Yeah, normal boys. And he's rocking in his suit and all his tailor-made stuff and everything. So we're walking down Ponsonby Road to this place and grab some beers from a liquor shop, go down a little side street. And by the time we get to the house, everyone's busting out of the piss and stuff. So a couple of boys are going for a piss in the hedge and everything else. He knocks on this door, and he's massive, man. So he's on this veranda, ducked down, knocks on this door. This little teenage girl answers the door, and she's like, "Hello?" And he's like, "Oh, we're here for the party." A couple of guys still peeing in the yard, and she's like looking around. I'm like, "Oh, this is so embarrassing." And she's like, "Oh, sorry, Mum and Dad, the party's at another house up the road." So, okay, so pack up all our beers and everything, walk up the road. There's about 6 of us or something. Get to this one. It's on Ponsonby Road. It's about where KFC is, opposite there. Big mansion, big house. And again, everyone's like, "It's been 15 minutes walking, and you go for another piss." So they're all in the courtyard going for a piss and everything. And it's a one-way tinted glass as well, which nobody really noticed. So ring this door buzzer. This butler answers, all done up in the black tie and everything. And my mate introduces, "Oh, yeah, we're here for the party." I was, "Oh, yes, they're about to serve food. Come on in." So we all are pissed as at this stage, drinking our beers and everything. Stumble in. The last dude that comes in the door trips over, drops his box of beers on the solid floor, so it shatters all his beer and everything. And then as you look to the left, or to the right, there's this grand table set up and all these waiters serving people at a black tie event. We're all in our hoodies, sandals. Someone's just broken all these beer bottles. They're looking at us, and we're like, "Oh, we've crashed your food," and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, come on in." So my cousin's like, "Oh, bugger this." He's running around the table because they've got all these placemats with like royal wedding placemats and that. And he's like, bugger this. If I take photos of this, my wife will give me a pass for the night. So he's running around everyone at this table, like getting in between them, going, selfie, selfie, and taking selfies. You look out the one-way glass where they've got this big projector set up on the window, and one of the boys is still pissing against the bloody...
Oh,
And everyone's watching him. We hang out at that party for about 30 minutes, and it's like, we got to go, man. I feel too awkward. But this guy can guarantee he's going to take you to the most awkward, worst parties you can ever think of, man.
Oh, mate.
next time he's in town, man, let us know.
We used to always do bets on, every bar, because he knows most of the bar owners, this guy as well. We always used to have bets on, like, it's $20 if we make it to the door, 50 if we can make it to the bar, $100 if we can actually down our first beer before we get kicked out, sort of thing. So we were always so legless, and it was always entertaining, eh? But yeah, those were the good old days. And again, a lot of those business owners that I know, none of them have got an education, man.
Yeah.
Like they've just done it on pure blood, sweat, and tears.
Experience.
Yeah. So some real crazy, and just, I think when I first got the Air New Zealand, one of my Air New Zealand contracts back in, it would have been 2009, something like that. They did congratulate me a few years ago on being 10 years. One of the longest digital partners, other than Datacom. But I just remember, turning up to that. I think it was the very first presentation we did. We'd been out drinking all night long, man, and it was like straight from the viaduct to Air New Zealand. And I don't know how we used to do things like that back in the days, man. That was crazy. I know, definitely not now that I've got kids.
Yeah, hard.
It takes a piece of you.
Yeah, it does, definitely does. But so business is good, and just always love to push. When people say no or you can't do that, I always like to just push it that little bit further. And man.
So how was the COVID thing for you last year? Because that was probably the longest, second longest.
Yeah, COVID and that, look, it's been interesting for business. Again, I deal with so many. And in general, I'd have to say for business, it's been pretty good, to be totally honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you didn't do too well, I mean, obviously there's going to be some things like, fuel, like where you work, it's going to be down because people aren't as driving around as much. No. In New Zealand, obviously, I haven't been as busy with them because there's not as much tourism. My tourism clients, some of them had been down. But all the cafes and things, restaurants and all of that I deal with, anything to do with products has been up, man. They've all done really, really well. The ones that haven't done so well are the ones that weren't organised, weren't prepared, and have panicked all the time. Every time something changes, they panic rather than going, I have a plan, this is what I'm going to do, and just action the plan.
Oh, man.
So, it's...
You're pretty much prepared. Oh, not prepared, but...
Yeah, you just got to be... it's not prepared because you never knew what was
going to happen.
Sure, it was coming, but
it's
being able to react. Yeah, react, take people on the journey, listen to your staff. Your staff are the ones that are there day in, day out. They're the ones talking at a ground level with your customers and all that sort of stuff. They know what people want. You just got to listen to them. That's the biggest thing, man.
Great job. You're doing well, bro.
Yeah, hard up, bro. Straight up.
I think it's more, like I said to you guys before, it's about just keeping busy and not, like, you can sit around at home and get depressed and do nothing. Or you can just get out there and do things you enjoy, man. Like, more people just need to do something they enjoy and love it. You guys love doing this podcasting and stuff, which is awesome. And, like, more people just need to do that. Do what they enjoy, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. These are one of the things I enjoy doing. Barbecuing's another.
I'll be with you, bruv. There's nothing like a good barbecue and I think again, just doing what you enjoy in life. Too many people, they look at Facebook and go, oh, my friend's doing this or my friend's doing that and I've got to do it as well. It's like, we're all individuals and, I watched, I can't remember who it was, but I watched something quite a few years ago. It was a documentary and, 20, 30 years ago, the people in the back of Ekatahuna, wherever it was, they never saw all those people with Lamborghinis. They never saw the young Justin Bieber with an aeroplane and all. They never saw those 1%ers. So I think it was actually one of the Māori leaders of the Māori party actually said, I can't remember who now, or it might have been the Greens, but they'd grown up on the East Coast and they said, they grew up in a caravan with 5 other siblings and they felt that they were the richest people in the world. They had everything they ever wanted. They had food on their doorstep. They had everything. But it wasn't until they became teenagers and they went to Hamilton and they went, crap, we're actually really poor. And, the problem with things like social media is it's just opened up that those poorer people can see the difference now between those rich. And even people of our level, we never used to see how the 1 to 5% played, and now we do see it. And then you look at the depression rates of our kids these days, and it's all because they're like, well, they've got that, they're 18.
Facebook.
Yeah, why don't I have that? And it's like,
Yeah.
You don't need that.
No.
Like, and that's what drives, you think back to when we were young and someone would have had a card, a collection card that you really wanted, and how depressed were you when you couldn't get it, And that might have happened. We might have gone to the dairy after school and bought a pack of cards or whatever it might have been, right? And your serotonin probably would have kicked in once a week when you traded those cards, Wasn't that often. Now, it's the addiction to stroll. Like if you look on Netflix, people may not actually watch what's on Netflix, but you'll see them in the app and their thumb is doing the stroll. And the social media is the same. And it's that boost of serotonin as you're strolling. You get that little like, oh, so-and-so's done this today. Oh, so-and-so. Oh, I haven't done that. I need to do that. And all of that leads to depression and builds depression. And that's where I just see so many people on social media. I'm like, just get off it. Like, I can see the way that you're interacting with it. You're obviously trying to cover something else in your life or something like that. It's like, bro, just cut clean ties with it. Turn it off. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Facebook Messenger. I don't have any of that stuff on my phone.
Wow.
Because what do you need it for?
True, yeah.
Like, seriously, like, do you remember, like, back in the day, if you wanted to know if someone was home, you had to wander around their house and go, bro, you home?
I remember KMZ brought up a good fact, because he wasn't on social media, right? And then he was saying the same thing you just said, like why do you have to find out on Facebook when you could, like, go, like, if you meet them on the road or whatever,
Have a good yarn, good chat to them. That's much better for your body and your psyche than chatting to them online, man. Like, the interaction with humans and people it's just needed. And you just see so many people online. It's like, you're obviously depressed, man. Like, just shut your account, get back to normal life. You don't need to see. You're not missing out on anything. Like, as a kid, again, I go back to, like, a lot of what kids do, behaviors. You try and put your kid to bed. Why do they get out of bed every 5 minutes? Because, like, fear of missing out on something when they go to bed, right? Exactly. The fear that they're going to miss out on something, that mum and dad are going to do something cool or something like that while they're asleep. And it's the same on social media and that. But the difference is instead of getting that kick once a night when you got to go to bed, you now on your lunch break and you're doing it so much more. And then either, to me, this is not scientific, but to me, there's two ways. One is you either get depressed because you go, my friends are always on holiday. A, they're only posting the 1% of their good part of their life. So they're not on holiday all the time. I'm sorry, man, but nobody's on holiday all the time. Not even the richest people in the world. They got stresses as well. Or so that drives depression because you feel like you're missing out, or you're just constantly having to get that serotonin check of, like, having to stroll. And, like, I just see it with so many people. You go to a takeaways and you just see them pick up their phone straight away for no reason. They've had no notification. They've had nothing. They just pick up their phone and just automatically start strolling, and their brain is just mush. It's like, and that's not good for depression and things like that as well, you know? Like, how can that be good for you? You're not even thinking for yourself, and that's where you're like, man, just go out and get a hobby. Do something you enjoy. Again, do something you enjoy, man.
Yeah, that's part of the reasons why. Like, because barbecue and other stuff like, well, when I used to do it, training and that takes much of my time now. But now that I'm doing the podcast, so that's another thing to stop me from scrolling on my phone.
Exactly. And you know what it's like when everyone's been there, and you know, like if you have 2 days of just strolling on your phone, you actually feel crap after that 2 days because you're like, I haven't done anything. Like, you actually feel down just from doing that strolling. And that's where I'm just like, you know, the way I always say a lot to a lot of people is I'm like, open up your computer, right? Open up your desktop. Does your desktop have 1 million icons across the screen of every single app that you need? You know, do you have every, like Facebook, Instagram, trade? No, you have a browser. You double click on it, you open it up. You look at what you need when you need it. It's a much healthier lifestyle than it is with your phone. And I keep saying, people, it should be the same with your phone. Like, you don't need that Trade Me app. You don't. If you need that stuff, you just open the website. Get rid of the apps, man. That's what I say to people if you want to live a happier life.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good way
That's
to put
a
it,
version
man.
of a happy life I haven't heard before.
Yeah,
Get rid of the apps.
Phone's a phone, man. And, you know, you can still get all the browser. You can check email on it. You can do the basics. You know, just family's more important. Kids are more important. You know, there's a whole generation that just get forgotten about because you're addicted to the stroll.
Yes.
Generations.
Definitely my kids.
Yeah, my
exactly.
daughter's heading the same way too, kind of. It's
Yeah, and
just
technology's
slowly trying to
not
pull it
bad.
back.
It's the habits around the technology that become bad.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is just trying to get people to realise, you know, wake up, don't just be a sheep, and you know, look at things like research car seats. You know,
That's a good point.
I'm gonna have a look into that.
So
Yeah.
we know, like, if there's like research, make sure you do your research, eh?
that's
Hey,
right. Yeah.
Just a question, Callum, what's your outlook on the mandates and COVID and
Ooh, dangerous, brother. Dangerous territory.
Hey, aren't you sick of that stuff yet?
no? Because we know our
yeah.
views, but I'd like to hear.
I mean,
Callum
overall,
Davis.
again, it comes back to everything that I believe in, and that is freedom of choice. I don't believe anybody, like, how can I explain this? I was listening to a professor this morning about the 501 deportees from Australia, right? That
is it the New Zealand?
sending the people home from Australia, right? Yeah. And I put this mandate law in the same package as that, and I wish the government would wake up and see that. And the reason I say that is the mandate law, the 501 deportee law, was brought in to get rid of the worst criminals out of Australia and try and clean it up, right? But it's had the total opposite effect. They're taking anybody and everybody they can, and they're using the law in the wrong way, and they're destroying families and just causing and as that professor says, the law doesn't really suit or solve any solution. It's just a cruel law. It's just an absolute cruel law. And for the mandates, I feel it's the same way, in that firing a police officer or a teacher or a nurse or anybody for not having a freedom of choice in their life is just a cruel law. It doesn't serve really any purpose other than being cruel to that person. And that's the way I see it. Again, you know, I've got business partners of different race, religion, sexual orientation. Who cares, man? Like, that's that person's life. That is their problems. They will have all their own issues and their own things going on in their lives. I don't need to add to it by saying this or that. And I feel the same, like I said, with the shop. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I am, hey, if you think you need the vaccine, go out and get it. If you don't want to get it, don't complain if you if you get sick and really sick. because you had the opportunity to get the vaccine. And I think the mandates, as I say, it's just cruel. It really affects it. Yeah, there's families that are being torn apart because of it, you know.
Harder, bro.
And that's the saddest part for me.
It's like a quick fix, but it doesn't fix everything.
Exactly. It's cruel in the fact that they brought it in for a purpose, and I can understand that purpose, trying to separate people and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think it's just tearing people apart, and they just need to admit that and just go, oh look, we've got to get rid of it, like a lot of the other countries have. Yeah, it is. It's a hard one, man. You know, because I do believe the lockdowns kind of worked, and I do believe in what they tried to do there. I think that was a good idea, but I think we also need to speed up this getting back to reality and
normality.
Yeah, and just maybe carry on everything as it is, alert level red and all that sort of stuff, and restricting the amount of people in a venue for now, to try and level that curve, but get rid of the mandate.
Yeah.
That's where I see that.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother.
Should be
that's
open
cool,
to
bro.
everyone. So I'm pretty free, and I don't class myself a hippie, but a lot of people call me that. But they're like, especially in town when I walk into certain shops and that, they're always like, "Oh, where's the hippie man?"
Yeah, you must get that a lot when you're walking into these business meetings.
Yeah,
Hippie guy's back.
yeah.
For the Rastas.
I get the Rastas back.
Yeah, Mustafa.
I try to educate people that Rastas dreads were around a long time before Rastas. You get a lot of people saying you're being culturally insensitive to Rastas and that, and I'm like, well, the Vikings, the Greeks, this is a lot of people have had. Hairstyles are not unique to any one country. Everyone has tried different hairstyles in every country at some time in the, I don't know, million years humans have been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's all sorts of hairstyles, man. No one can claim any sort of hairstyle. I guess the one thing that upsets me in life and what gives me my outlook on life is, and I don't notice this so much out West Auckland, but when I'm in the CBD, I would say at least once a day I get abuse. I've had people mount a footpath and try and run me over because I have dreads. Like, yeah.
Serious?
So when people say to me they're in a minority group and they say they get abuse or harassment from people,
you get it.
yeah,
You understand
I
it.
totally get what they would be going through. I can be standing in a queue at McDonald's with the kids, and people can be so offensive with my children there. And just, and that's what makes me realise, just people just need to chill the heck out and just like accept people for whoever they are. And I think it's that people can't accept change and difference. I think those are the biggest things in life that scare people. And I think that's why you get a lot of that racism and stuff like that, because it's what they don't know is what they're scared of. And that's the easiest way. Like any animal in the world, the first thing you do is you put your defences up when you're scared. And I think that's what drives a lot of that sort of stuff, and like homophobia and all of that other horrible stuff is just people are scared, terrified, and they bring up their defences, so they don't understand. So dreads, you get a lot of abuse, bro. You gotta. I think I've had a lot of friends that are like, "Oh, cool, I'll have dreads," and then it's like 6 weeks later, I'm like, "Where's your dreads?" They're like, "No, I can't do that, bro." I'm like, yeah, it's a lot harder than you think, and people are very, very abusive out there.
I feel like getting dreads now.
Yeah.
Hey, just to thank you for coming on our show, Callum.
Yeah, bro.
Brother, man, mean conversation, mean talk. It's good to know that that you're doing well for yourself and your family, bro.
Yeah, especially one of the boys from school.
No,
Someone
yeah,
that we know.
yeah. I'm like,
I'm not saying everybody's not successful. They are at some stage, but like
Everyone's
someone that's
successful.
doing-
yeah,
yeah.
everyone's successful in their own way, man.
yeah, exactly.
And for me, everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, but you don't have $1 million home or something." It's like, man, I don't want to. The bigger your house, the more you got to clean.
yeah,
The more maintenance you got to do.
That's
Simple.
what I think too.
simple living.
Yeah.
That's-
And then a couple of my staff have brought houses in Auckland and stuff. I'd much rather share the wealth with the guys that make money, the ones doing the work,
Yep.
and make sure we're all in the same place. We're all in it together, man. Like they help me out buy my house, I help them buy their house. It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
a
team.
win-win.
Yeah,
Win-win
exactly,
situation for
man.
everyone.
Everybody's
It's
on the
just-
same boat.
That's what I hate about too many companies. It's all about the owner and the boss and the shareholders, and that's it. I think just get rid of shareholders. I think they bring in what they've brought out, try and bring it overseas, where the top person at the company can't earn 12 times more than what the bottom person does. It means that if the cleaner's on 30,000 or 40,000 a year,
Yep.
if you're on 40,000, you can't earn more than 12 times that. So what's that? $480,000. So it gets rid of all the millionaire things. The problem with that is then does that drive innovation because you're not paying people enough at the top end? But a lot of people say that, but then I'm always like, well, why do you need to be so greedy?
Yeah.
I
Share the
can
wealth.
pay you. Yeah, I can pay you the 480,000. Not if you're bringing that in and you're making that. But do you really need more than that in life, man? And what are you going to do with it?
Bro,
Like,
some people squeak and go deep,
yeah.
real deep.
So that's has been a good chat, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheers.
we're
Callum.
gotta get you back here, Bod, with somebody else, and
Yeah.
dissect some of the stuff you were talking about, because there's a lot there.
Bring back Solomon or someone, or
Oh yeah, man, that guy's pretty cool too, bro. He's a cool dude,
He knows heaps, man. He's a smart.
especially with the barbecues, bro.
Yeah, bro. Oh, fireplaces and stuff. Anything like that, man.
Yeah.
He's the guy you want to talk to. He knows all about the permitting. Bro, he's just a
Yeah. So what's the website for that?
Encyclopedia.
For the barbecues and that?
Barbecue Boys.
Barbecue Boys.
Yep. BOYS.NZ.
Okay.
There'll be a
Share on
link
there.
up after. I mean, when everything's done, Cam will put up a link.
Yeah, because you
Yes,
got
yes.
your link for your cafe online as well, eh?
Yeah, bro. All of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, you own the IT company, it's a bit like the mechanic. Like, I don't know if you ever look at my IT company, everyone loves it because it's a picture of a young boy, probably about 8 or 9, and his hair's just gone massive. It's like he's done a science experiment in electrocuted.
Yeah.
And that's the main image. And then we always use like the Dalai Lama's statement where, you can't break a rule unless you know. You need to know the rules to be able to break the rules or something like that. And
Nice.
yeah, it's all about being crazy. But I've always wanted to put the wrecked car on the website, just like a panel beater.
Yeah.
Like you own a panel shop, but you drive the worst bomb of a car because you just never get time to do anything. And it's like with all my companies, it's like, yeah, I've got an IT company, can do websites, but when do you actually get the time to do them?
Yeah.
What's the name of your IT company?
Bocapa.com. BOCAPA.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shoot.
that one's a much harder one, and that one we don't take much work through. It's sort of word of mouth, and
Yeah.
don't really market that one too much. It's
No.
busy enough.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know when you need some mystery
Shoppers.
Shoppers.
shoppers for your cafe, bro.
Yeah, bro.
We'll do,
Straight
man.
up, man.
We'll do, man.
But I'm straight up. I'm gonna get me another Bethels burger. Probably
Yeah, I
if
don't-
not at the end of this week, next week.
You guys designed a nice burger. We could maybe make a West burger or something.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Have a bit of fun.
I think our managers just said, "Yep."
There's nothing better than trying out burgers, man, and cooking up big feeds and stuff like that.
Oh man.
Nah, shock Callum, shop for coming
Shop,
on
bro.
tonight,
Thanks
brother.
again, bro.
Nah, good
All the
boys.
best for your future endeavours.
Yeah, mate.
Hopefully, see you back on the podcast real
Yeah,
soon.
bro.
Nah, it was big,
Real
good,
fast.
real good catching up, man. Good
I
times. Sweet boys.
Cheers.
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 Thank you.
Ooh.